North Dakota. Key facts. Abbreviation ND. Nicknames: Peace Garden State, Rough Rider State, Flickertail State, North Dakota. Capital: Bismarck. Flower: wild prairie rose. Tree: American elm. Bird: western meadowlark. Fruit: choke cherry. Mottos: Liberty and Union, now and forever, one and inseparable, or strength from the soil. The highest and lowest temperatures ever recorded in North Dakota are 121 degrees and minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 49 degrees and minus 51 degrees Celsius, respectively. I don't know if it anywhere else in America can match that for extremes. In fact, I can't think of many places of Earth that can. And yet the primary occupation of your North Dakota is farming. Good luck there. They call it North Dakota, and count the large number of Scandinavian regions in the state, but in fact it is those of German ancestry who make up most of the population. 2.5% of all North Dakotans speak German at home. I am to discover more about this when I visit the capital, Bismarck, when more than half the citizens are of German stock. But first I need to understand the bigger picture. Since I crossed over from Minnesota to Montana, I've been wondering at the large number of roads, schools, and commercial establishments named after the two men called Lewis and Clark. I think I need to give myself a small history lesson, for what they did means a great deal hereabouts. I was always a little hazy about the Louisiana Purchase, mistakenly believing that it involved America buying the state of Louisiana. In fact, it was a sale in 1803 by France of its entire Louisiana territory, a massive swathe of Midwestern America, including Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Minnesota, and the Dakotas, not to mention a healthy chunk of New Mexico, Texas, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Louisiana. It cost the United States about $23 million, which added up in the end to about 3 cents an acre. Something of a bargain for doubling the size of the country. This was land occupied by American Indians. Naturally, they were not informed about the sale. The president at the time, the nation's third, was Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence and perhaps the most revered of all the founding fathers. He determined that more ought to be discovered concerning this enormous tract of land, since neither the French who sold it nor the Americans who bought it really knew much about it. Jefferson was a great believer in what was already known as the Manifest Destiny, America's right to expand westwards to the Pacific and hell with the Indians or anyone else. A very short time after the purchase had been concluded, therefore, President Jefferson appointed a man called Captain Meriwether Lewis to undertake an expedition which would obtain more knowledge about the new territory, principally its rivers, for this was a nation which the only way commerce and traffic could be managed in such terrain was by water. The idea was to track the Missouri River to its source. The aim was specifically, and in Jefferson's own words, to explore for the purposes of commerce. Lewis and his fellow expedition leader Clark, with their Corps of Discovery, traveled thousands of miles to the Pacific Ocean and back, reporting to Jefferson some 3 years after setting out. Now written indelibly into American history and legend, the expedition mapped most of the new territory with surprising accuracy and contributed to the making of the modern United States. Only when you have traveled in some of the lands they covered Can you appreciate what a gigantic achievement it was? I have a London taxi, modern highways, air conditioning, heating, and all the conveniences of the 21st century, and I still feel like a hero when I have completed a 400-mile leg of my journey. Lewis and Clark had canoes and horses and no idea into what hostile Indian lands or impenetrable ravines their journey would take them. In Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, and here in the Dakotas, many diners, streets, hotels, dry goods stores, and lakes are named after Lewis and Clark. Their campsites are national shrines, and their navigation routes, or parts thereof, annually reproduced by Harley canoeists and kayakers in all the states of the Midwest. The Missouri River, which was their principal point of interest, snakes right through the center of North Dakota before turning west and disappearing into Montana. The Red River, sadly not the one immortalized by Howard Hawks in his western masterpiece Red River, forms the state line with Minnesota to the east, and it's here that the major towns of Grand Forks and Fargo lie. But my destination is the capital, named Bismarck in 1873 after the great European statesman who had just succeeded in forging a dozen disparate states and kingdoms into the new nation of Germany. Incidentally, the town of Bismarck didn't give itself that name because it was full of patriotic Germans who loved their chancellor, but rather because it wanted to attract Germans over to the Dakotas. The total population of the entire state back then was around 3,000. Renaming ploy worked. Bismarck was so soon flooded with hard-working, God-fearing Teutonic farmers who put up with temperatures that they could never have experienced back home. I cannot but wonder how the Dakota Territory, as it was known back then, it was divided into North and South until 1889 was sold to those Germans. Was their brochure promising lush, fertile countryside and balmy weather, and were the Germans who arrived bitterly disappointed? For North Dakota, although by no means unpleasant, is neither notably lush nor even slightly balmy. Scraggy scrub and featureless plateaus characterize much of the state. Whatever their feelings, they came and they stayed, those Germans, and they brought with them their food. I've always believed that the best way to understand any culture is through its cuisine, and so as soon as I arrived in Bismarck, I head straight to Fockrow's Diner on Main, a legendary German restaurant. The moment I entered what appears to be a traditional 50s-style diner, I know I had come to the right place. The waitresses are all over 60 and frighteningly Germanic. "Sit down and eat," I'm commanded. I discover that this is their motto. Weary girls who work here are not famous enough with the regular lunches. They have become statewide celebrities through their TV commercials, which I would urge you to watch. They are collected together on the Curl's website. They demonstrate better than the bizarre postmenopausal atmosphere that pervades here. Many Bismarckians are descended from people who lived in ethnic German enclaves in Russia. The food, therefore, is as much Russian as German. The signature dishes of the house are nabla, chicken, potato, dumpling soup, Fleischküche, Kuchle, a hamburger wrapped in pastry and deep fried, and the classically elegant and sophisticated fried dough. Needless to say, I tried them all. I'm a hearty eater, rarely defeated by anything, but it was all I can do to rise from the table and totter to the car park without falling over my back and waving my legs in the air like a capsized beetle. A massive ingestion of calorific fat, starch, and protein will at least I rationalize to myself as I ease my stomach under the steering wheel and point the taxi south, prepare me for the rigors of life on the next leg of my journey. 3 days and nights on an Indian reservation.